Today we're going to be looking at how to put a hoop onto your fabric, or your fabric into a hoop. So when you cut your fabric, you want it to be about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters wider than the outer hoop. And as you can see, this is a larger hoop, but it's exactly the same distance around the edge of the fabric. This is a beechwood hoop, and it's a British made one, but there are lots of great hoops on the market. But when you choose your hoop, buy a good quality one which will have the inner and the outer hoops matching, so there are no gaps. If you've got gaps, then your fabric will slip as you're sewing. Let me show you close up. So we take our center hoop out first and we take the outer hoop off with the screw closure. We put that aside, and then we take our fabric that is 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch wider than the hoop, and we press our fingers down on the sides so you can just gauge by eye whether it's the center. And as you can see, this isn't centered top and bottom, so I'll just wiggle it up with my finger to make sure it's about centered. This is just rough. If it's a millimeter out or so, it doesn't matter. Just check the sides again. So great, I'm happy with that. And now our outer hoop, we're going to place on top gently. The idea is we don't want it to push down too hard, so we want this to be loose enough to go over the outer hoop and the fabric, but we don't want it too loose that it's all floppy, and not too tight that it absolutely wrenches the fabric and pulls it outwards. We want a nice balance between the two. You can practice, you'll feel it. As you can see, this is really nice. It's not really warping the fabric. Let me go closer and show you. So as you can see, the fabric, the warp and weft are still nicely distinguishable. It's not sort of pulling the threads really tight. And then screw the tightener at the top to make the outer hoop really tight around. You can gently pull around and pull through. If you find your fingers are not able to do the tightening, grab some pliers and just gently twist that, and it should be a nice taut finish. Oops. There we go. So this is now lovely to start working with. If you find as you're working that your fabric becomes too loose in the center and it's not as taut and straight and true, then just readjust, loosen the outer hoop, readjust the fabric and tighten again. Sometimes when you've got a very loose weave fabric such as this linen, it can become floppy in the center. Some of the more tight weave like calicos and fabrics like that generally are much more stable because the weave is much smaller. This is a larger weave, it's a much looser fabric, but it's a lovely finish, so that's why I love using the linens. And it's also nice to work with because it's the gaps between the threads are really easy for the needle to go through, so it's lovely to work with as well. Yeah, but just have a play, have a practice, and just feel that tautness on your fabric. So you want it almost like a drum, but not super tight like a drum where the fabric's really warped. So yeah, enjoy.